Right. The second architectural style is a layered architectural style. So in this layered architectural style, the total, okay, project will be divided into, coding part will be divided into the four parts. In these four parts, the first part is presentation layer, business layer, persistence layer, and database layer. Okay, in this layer architecture, we are going to discuss about four layers: presentation, business, persistence, and database layer. Each and every layer here is a different functions and different tasks to do, right? And this four layered architecture is also called as entire architectural style. What it is? Four layered architecture is also called as entire architectural style, right? It is the one of the most common style used in software development life cycle. Okay, and coming to that four parts, this style is divided into various horizontal layers, and each layer has some specific function. Okay, now we are discussing about only four layers, so each and every layer has some specific function. Clear? And coming to the first one, that is business layer. Business layer is responsible for the various business rules and sorry, first one is the presentation layer, not business layer. Okay, coming to the first one is the presentation layer. Presentation layer deals with the user interface. Whatever the user interfaces, okay, we are interacting. If we want to interact with one application or website, the first page of that particular website or application is a user interface, okay, page. So such kind of pages will be developed in a presentation layer. Clear? So this presentation layer deals about the user interfaces. Okay, step 1, step 2, step 3, while filling the applications, now those are the pages of some user interfaces. Okay, if you want to fill an application, there is a step 1, fill these details. In step 2, fill some other details. Step 3, and finally you will get the option of finish button. So like this, these are all steps are related to a user interface. So this kind of coding will be developed in which layer? In presentation layer. Clear? Next one, second one is the business layer. Business layer is responsible for the various business rules and conditions. So how to market this one, and if suppose while filling the applications, if any kind of they will ask another options to us, which means whether you need some, I mean, if you want to fill up more details or not. Okay, this will be useful for a future purpose. Like that, some kind of notifications will come across the user windows, or otherwise sometimes we may get, if those user interfaces are public related, which means for business, they were created for business purpose. So such kind of user interfaces allow some kind of advertisements too. Okay, in between that advertisements too, or otherwise sometimes while booking the train tickets or movie tickets, it will give some offers on food items. Okay, we'll get some offers on food items. They'll ask us, if you will book for food also, you will get this much of a percentage is free discount, we were providing a discount to you. So like that, while booking your tickets in flights, trains, or in for movies also, they'll advertise some other kind of projects. Okay, those are related to some business conditions and rules. Okay, such kinds of codings will be available, or they will be developed in business layer. And third one is persistence layer. This persistence layer is used to just it will allow it will provide the accessing to the other layers, each and every layer, whoever wants to access a database. Okay, suppose if you want to do perform any work with database, compulsory we are in need of some layers permission, some security what features are available. So to allow such kind of any layer to access the database layer data, then we are going to use persistence layer. This is the job of the persistence layer. It will make the data is accessible to the other layers. Okay, and last one is the database layer. Okay, database, the role of database layer is it can stores the data and provides the data whenever users need. This is the database layer role here. And also here we are having 4 different layers now. So this kind of development will be used, this style of architecture style. Right, these layered architectural styles will be used in large business organizations, okay, for focusing on the user interfaces. For that sake only, they are going for layered architectures. They'll prefer the layer architecture style of coding development. And also here, each and every layer, okay, will be developed some teams. Okay, oh, no, I mean, so there are 4 layers now. So four teams or more teams are worked in this layered architectural style. Right? This is about second one architectural style. Coming to third one, object-oriented architectural style. In object-oriented architecture is an important concept for developing the software. It is a design paradigm based on the division of responsibilities for an application or system into individual, reusable, and self-sufficient objects. The popular approach of object-oriented design is to view a software system as a collection of entities known as objects. Actually, this object-oriented architectural style, okay, in this style we are going to design the coding by following the OOPS concepts, by following object oriented programming language concepts only. So automatically whenever we are going to use OOPS concept, the total data of this project will be converted into the entities. Okay, each and every part, each and every element, okay, each and every function will be converted into the entities. What is an entity? It is a object. Okay, it's a real, in a real world it is a object. So automatically each and every module or element will be converted into the entities now. So this is called object oriented programming language. The total programs are developed by using the languages of either C or C++. Why? Because C++, not C, sorry, by using C++ or Java, not C. Okay, why? Because C++ and Java, both languages were developed based on the concepts of object oriented programming languages. So those languages have some features. Because of that features only, okay, the Java language nowadays also it will be in market. So what are the features? So because of the objects, classes, and some other principles. What are those principles? Inheritance, polymorphism, encapsulation, and abstraction. Okay, because of all these features, so oops, nowadays we are going for the projects in Java coding itself. Okay, because of those features. Clear? So here also, if you want to develop our project in okay Java or C++, C++ also is developed by using what object oriented programming languages only, but compared to Java it has some little flaws also. Okay. Okay. um so that's why we are preferring now only Java. So if you develop a coding or your project by using Java means it will give some advantages, some features. What are those? Understandable, maintainable, reusable, robustness, extensible, and testable. These are our different advantages of object-oriented architecture. Okay, so why? Because object oriented architecture maps the application to real world object. Okay, whatever the application we are developing, okay, in our project, that application totally converts into a real world object. By converting like this, okay, it is more understandable to us. Next, coming to the second point, it is easy to maintain and improves the quality of the system due to the program reuse. So here in Java we are also having the concept of program reusability. That program reusability can be achieved by using a concept of polymorphism. So what is polymorphism here? Polymorphism means one object play the multiple roles based on a situations. Okay, one thing can be act as or can be play different roles in different situations. That concept is called a polymorphism. So that's why by using that same code for or same operation for different programs, automatically we will achieve the concept of reusability, and also it will provide the abstraction also. What is abstraction here? Abstraction in the sense, okay, abstraction in the sense, it will show the essential features by hiding the unessential features. Okay, whatever the what features we need to see, that will only the Java will show us. The other things, okay, unimportant things and some hiding things, it will be hidden. The Java coding is hidden those things of a Java. So that's why it will, by using that one, it will provide reusability. It will show essential details and by hiding the unimportant things like that. For example, if nowadays we are using a phone. Okay, now we know how to use the phone, but we are not asking the phone other what background of that phone, which means who developed that one, and mean how many days it will take to manufacture that phone. Okay, and how many days it will take to what shifting that phone from one place to another place, one place to another place. Like that, we are not going to concentrate on that particular product background. Just we are concentrating on how it will be worked. Is it useful to us or not? Like that, we will concentrate, isn't it? So that is one example. Coming to the another example, if we will take the technical things, now we are using many applications. Okay, So directly we are using that applications, but we are not asking the which code they are used to develop that particular application. Okay, how many days it took, and what is the budget of that particular application? We don't know. Okay, so like that. And also, I mean, in for any app or for any web application, we don't know the background details of that particular application. Just we know how to use that particular app. So those are the essential information about a particular app or thing. Okay, so that is about abstraction. And next point is, it has the ability to manage the errors during the execution. Means, already you know that Java has the exception handling concept. Okay, in Java, having your own concept that is called exception handling. Already you know that what is exception handling. Okay, while writing the program, if you will type any mistakes, or in your program you got two or three mistakes. Okay, if by leaving the mistakes of that coding, and it will execute the remaining part or remaining lines of that particular program. Okay, if our program has 100 lines, in that 100 lines of program there are two lines in the two lines there is a small mistakes are there. So by avoiding those two lines, it will execute the remaining lines of a program and show the output. Okay, but you don't have such facility in other programming languages. Okay, which means, so if it is accepted error means it will automatically, okay, take the decision to what to do, and accordingly it will act and it will execute the remaining lines of a program and show the output. Okay, this is the concept of exception handling in Java language. So because of this concept, Java become more and more stronger. That's why we call it as robustness. Clear? And next one is, it has ability to extend new functionality and does not affect it on the system. So if you want to increase the functions jobs more after developing also, it will support. Okay, it will ready to accept the new changes, adding of new functions to that particular program. So without affecting the total system. Clear? Next, it improves testability through encapsulation. So what is encapsulation here? Why we are implemented on the testing feature means, encapsulation means it will provide the security to our data by implementing the classes. So why are we defining the objects and methods in a class? To provide the security of that objects and also a methods or operations. Okay, so through the encapsulation or class by using a class concept, here we are providing the class is a binding of the objects and operations or methods of that objects. Okay, it's a blueprint, or it is a sorry, it is used to bind the objects and operations of the objects. So by using the class, we are providing the encapsulation, which means security. So nobody can access the data objects freely until unless, okay, without asking the permission of a class. If you want to access the objects of a class, automatically other program need to create the objects to access this one. So by taking the permission of this class, this is the encapsulation concept. And coming to the last one, object oriented architecture reduces the development time and the cost. Okay, already we know that one. So by using OOPS, we can save our time. Why? Because here code reusability and also the total code is implemented based on a object. Okay, here we are not completely concentrating on the object basis. So automatically code is reduced in object oriented programming language. Whenever the code is reduced, automatically processor time is saved, user time is also saved. Okay, so both will cost, it won't affect on the cost also. So these are the different advantages of object oriented architectural style. Okay, so architectural style, which means the coding part of your architecture is designed by using a Java language or C++ language. We are having many advantages. Okay, so this is about architectural styles. Okay, um, in our second chapter of first unit, okay, this is the another topic, that is achieving qualities. Okay, till now we have seen the architectural styles. Now we are going to know about achieving qualities. So achieving qualities means, here we have seen in previous classes about quality attributes. Okay, there are different quality attributes are there. If you will add those quality attributes while designing to your system, okay, to your work, then you will get good results. Okay, that is we have discussed in previous classes. Now how to add this one? Okay, by adding this, how to achieve the qualities? Okay, by adding the quality attributes. Okay, how to add the quality attributes, and what is the each function of each and every quality attribute. Okay, so what outcomes it will give. Okay, this is about the achieving qualities. Okay, here we are having first one is, now we are going to discuss about tactics. What is a tactics? And introduction of tactics. After that, availability, modifiability, performance, security, testability, usability. Okay, these are all the quality attributes from availability to usability. So how we are going to design all these quality attributes, how we are going to implement all these quality attributes, okay, for achieving the quality in a system. Now we are going to learn that one, right? Okay, coming to the first one, introducing tactics. What is a tactics? So a tactic is a design. A tactic is a design decision that influence the control of a quality attribute. Okay, what it will influence? It will influence the control of a quality attribute response. Okay, actually it is a system design, consists of a collection of decision. It is a system design. Okay, it has the collection of decisions, how to design the, okay, attributes, quality attributes to achieve the quality. So that is called a tactics here. And coming to next point, some of these decisions help control the quality attribute responses, others ensure achievement of system functionality. Okay, these tactics are used to achievement of system functionality, whether that system is working or working proper way or not. So to check this one, we are going to learn this one, these achieving qualities. So how we are going to design these tactics means, first one, stimulus, tactics to control responses, and the result, which means input and stimulus. In the sense, here we are going to put a input, okay, and after that here the quality attribute design, and after that here we are going to get the result or responsible for this design. Okay, okay, coming to the first one, availability tactics. So goal of availability tactics, first one, many of the tactics we discuss are available within standard execution environment, such as operating system, application servers, and database management systems. So in availability means, so these will come at the time of execution environments. While working with some other system, then we are going to check the availability of that particular system. Okay, whenever we want to, nowadays we are using net availability means what? Whenever I want to use a net, okay, for downloading something or for watching something or for any purpose, okay, is it available or not, I am checking for that. That is called availability. If I am a user, I am using that internet anywhere, okay, any place and any time I may access the at night 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, morning 6 o'clock, like this. So by using that one, I am checking for whether it is available or not. If it is available, okay, I'll share that information to my friends also. If it is not available, I'll give negative feedback on that particular network. Okay. Suppose if some network is not giving proper internet means, we are give the feedback to our friends. Don't use that particular net. It won't give proper. It won't give the proper. Always it will. It's not disconnected. Like that, we are giving feedback on that particular internet or network. So like this, availability always coming under the execution environment while doing that project. I mean, while while working with that project. Okay, we know this availability, right? Whether it is available or not. And next point, tactics is used so that the effects of using a particular one can be considered during design and evaluation. So which kind of problems will occur while using? So how to handle that one? Okay, how to provide, how to overcome such kind of problems if the user will use our particular what project or software, which kind of errors he may get. If he will get the errors while using that project, okay, what are the solutions we are going to provide, okay, earlier late step, which means precautions. Okay, so those are can be discussed in design and evaluation itself. Coming to the last point, all approaches to maintaining availability involve some type of redundancy, some type of health monitoring to detect failures, and some type of recovery when failure is detected. So these are all approaches we are going to discuss in availability. Okay, if you see the diagram in this availability tactics, first to see this is the basic design for a tactics. Already we have seen in first slide of this topic. What is that? Fault. Okay, so availability in the sense, availability in the sense it's a stimulus. Okay, it's a input for availability design unit. Okay, if some fault has been occurred, okay, how this design is handling, and how it will be the rectify that particular fault and it will give good results. See, fault masked or repair made. So for if a fault has been occurred and in this design unit, see here, this tactics to control availability total will be designed again down of the diagram, in this diagram itself. Okay, same fault, fault and tactices, and this is the tactices which means design, and here fault masked or repair made. So fault masked or repair made, the same diagram here. Okay, so what is the design? If one fault is occur, what is the tasks which perform availability, in availability unit, what are the tasks should be performed internally? How we are going to design that one? First one is fault detection. Okay, fault detection. So fault detection means where the problem will occur. Okay, so we know automatically by based on for getting some echoes or something or some exceptions, by watching that exceptions we may get, we may detected a fault. Okay, or otherwise if we will detect the fault, how to handle that fault, and here we need to implement some coding accordingly. Coming to the second one, recovery preparation and repair. In this recovery preparation, so if the fault has been occurred, how to recover that one, and also if not possible to recovery, so what we have to do, how to repair that one. Okay, after repairing and recovery, we are going to next one, recovery introduction. So, so what changes we are going to implement recovered. So after recovering, this kind of recovering tasks are done. Okay, like this it will be shown. And last one is the prevention. So what we have to do in this prevention, removal services or transactions, and by monitoring a process. So these are all the steps in availability. Okay, by following, by doing these all the things, okay, we will get everything is cool. For example, if our what our phone is hanged out, for example, while using our phone, it may be hanged for some time, or it may not working properly, or it may not receiving the internet properly. So some problems will occur, means automatically we strike, we got a thought that one better to restart this one. First, once we can switch off that phone, after a few minutes once again we can start that phone, then maybe it will work properly. Okay, if something is happened with our phone, we are going to take a recovery. So how to recover that one? First of all, we are going to check our phone with self, means we will just restart that phone once. If it will work properly, okay, no need to go for a service center. Then also it will give some errors or something, some problems. Then then only we are walking to a center. Okay, there also they will check for some error, which kind of faults this phone coming, whether that is rectifiable, in physically or something, or asking some or taking some permissions for requesting for something, we are avoiding such kind of problems or not, like that, that people use it to what suggest us. This is about availability. And coming to the modifiability, one set, in this modifiability tactics, one set has its goal reducing the number of modules that are directly affected by the change. And coming to the second one, a second set has its goal limiting the modifications to the localized modules. Third set is controlling the deployment time and cost. Here there are three goals are there in modifiability tactics. First one is the number of modules that are directly affected by the change. So if we will perform a change in particular design, so how many modules are affected because of that particular change. Okay, that is the first point. Second point is limited modifications to the localized modules. If we, okay, so we should perform the limited modifications on small local modules itself. Third one is controlling the deployment time and cost. So if we'll going for more and more designs, the cost may increase and time also may increase. So how to control the time? Okay, time of implementation by writing the code or designing, doing something, it's a little time taken process. So how to control that one? These are the three goals of a modifiability tactics. See, same. If changes are arrived, which means if we are going for a modifying some particular part of a system architecture, so whether it will change all the modules or it will affect the few modules, it will influence the few modules. So what is the results of that particular, okay, module? I mean, what is the results of that after designing? So changes made, tested and deployed within the time and budget. Okay, if we made the changes, so those changes will be affected how many number of modules, and also after that one it should be tested, as well as the time should be taken for designing, or sorry, for implementing of this what tactics is should be saved, and also within the budget itself it is finished. Whatever the change we performed in that particular project, that should be the within the budget. That is first one. And the second one is uh, what it is I mean, and also the time also should be saved. And this is about modifiability. And whether we are changing the local modules. Okay, if we will change the local modules, so what are the preventions? Okay, and what is the time to complete that one? So this is about modifiability. Now I am going to stop the class here itself.